How do you feel about this combo and really just this comp that the Ravens have built for themselves?
I mean, the first 3 picks, and I literally said GG when I saw him. I was like, oh, is it Freya, Ares, Chernobog? Okay. Can't wait for game 4. Thor, I was like, all right, I'm in. Serter, I'm still not sold, man. I'm really not. I feel like Serter reminds me of when we were seeing Shiva a lot. You remember when Shiva was first coming back into the meta? We saw him in the jungle a little bit. We saw him in the soul lane a little bit. He had one of the most oppressive early games, of maybe any Smite god in recent memory. Serter is not nearly as oppressive as Shiva is, but has the same issue of come late game, what are you really doing? You're throwing out a long-range stun, single target, and you're hoping you have enough sustain to survive in a long fight. It's more damage than I expected, but it's not going to match damage with things like Pele, and it's not exactly the tankiest thing on the planet either. So I'll be keeping my eyes on it. There is certainly like a mid-game phase where Serter is just going to be the most threatening dude, full stop, assuming he's not horribly behind. So playing through that, maybe, the Han Ravens have got on the mind. Early went well for them last time around.
Scream uses Blink. Let's get some extra damage to Sino. Maybe doesn't get as much as he was hoping for. And as said, we'll kind of keep eyes on screen with a Serter. I think for me, most specifically, how he builds this god in particular.
He's probably gonna get that vital amp, right? He was loving that.
I think he was doing a little bit of that. He had our Druid Stone in there for that extra bang on that, at least that basic attack that you fire off. I think we remember asking, sitting him down, like when we got to talk with him. He said he had like over 100-something stacks for that first ability in that game.
That's insane.
And that's a lot of extra damage. That's what, 35? We'll hold that for a moment. Stun to Aurora is good. Chains are there by Hurry, but still not enough damage. Taunt back on a Scream under the tower. Pulls about 30% of his health in an instant. Procs a little bit of that Obsidian Flesh passive. Scream gonna have to go back and just go for his Constellation Prize of his shield buff.
Well, on the right-hand side, there's the hammer from Haddix. Sino nearby. Do they have the damage?
Knockup is good. Haddix, though, back to the tier 1 tower. That's just enough for safe haven. The Ferrymen relay how much damage it does to Scream. They say, well, I don't want to take that same damage. So the Ferrymen back away from Haddix and allow him to live under tier 1.
Yeah, well played there. Sino gets as much damage as humanly possible. The auto cancels were good. Remember to use the claw shard. Everything I could have asked for. Xbox simply just did not have the stats to knock down his target. Everyone's playing very far forward here, but allowed to do so. Ishtar and Athena, not exactly a kill lane, especially not at level 3, so imagine we see him throw around his weight a good deal. A purple buff invade could be costly. Good laners considering a rotation. It's just Aurora now taking all the damage.
Chained up by Hurrywin, damaged by Zap, but still not enough. Aurora lives with 40%, Scream lives with nothing. Sino on a blue buff invade, while they don't necessarily get the buff, they get something maybe more valuable, a first blood for the Ferryman.
Hurrywin now trying to make something happen on the left side of the map. Steps forward, considers a steal, not gonna be able to do it. Aurora times that taunt well, so no abilities channeled from Hurry, means no threat on the purple buff itself, so it's the Styx Ferryman off to a much faster start. Every single game so far this set felt like the Ferrymen just were not particularly interested in playing the first 5 to 6 minutes. Just kind of hanging out. This time around, much more active. Finding that kill on a Sino, getting him over to level 5. He said he can maybe make a rotation over towards the dual lane before Zapman ticks to 5. Excuse me, purple buff just enough. Hadn't taken into account all that farm Hurrywin had just let go while he was being annoying. So, not as easy, but still certainly worth his time.
Shield buff. Started by Zap to Hurry. Cyclone gets hit by the Banish, and that's enough to secure it. And now almost every time we saw Cyclone in the previous games, it was, I have an ultimate, there's a shield buff, and there's somebody there, I'm going to use it. So, good on Zapman for that pattern recognition. Pulls him up into the sky before he has a chance to go for the ultimate there. But I think for me, as much as I want to pay attention to how Scream builds this Serter pick, see if he goes back to that very tank-heavy style after his damage, I think the same has to be said for Sino. Last time he played Pele, 1 damage item, full tank immediately after. These are 2 junglers who do not play jungle the same way everybody else is.
No, and it's probably his beat stick in first slot for Sino, dealing with some of that sustain. Serter, one of his primary strengths throughout the early game is just how much sustain he really has. It's deceptive. It's really hard to track when it's going to come through, that dot heal from picking up all the little meteorites. So, getting a little bit of anti-heal on Sino, able to keep that in check and put those boxing matches a little bit further in his favor, but will restrict some of that CDR that Pele tends to be reliant on. So now it's a more all-in style off-rip, and there it goes already. Blink in from Sino, just poking Scream a bit.
Trying to get advantage around blue buff. Actually forces Venenu and even Paul to rotate over. This is very contested buff on this right side. Paul pushing in, 3v3 to the right-hand side. Sino low, Sino still alive, but only for an extra moment. It's the ultimate from Aurora that keeps him alive a little bit longer than he had hoped for. The Styx Ferrymen, they don't get their invade, they don't get their kills.
Yeah, Aurora a little bit late on that ultimate, also leaves him in no man's land, channels it and lands exactly where he started. And where he started had two enemies right at his feet, so FERRYMEN and Zatman able to knock him down. It's the Highland Ravens now. Able to put a couple kills in their column. Regardless, Styx Ferrymen still in a pretty decent position. I wonder though, that blink hit from Sino on the right-hand side, wishful thinking. Trying to find that 1v1 up against Scream. Gotta play a little bit more so around your allies, I think. And Baskin, low mana. Paul, a little bit later on the rotation. How's he gonna keep up with Ven, who's so mobile on this Chernabog? Questions and answers the Styx Ferrymen will have to develop if they want to clean up some of this early. Speaking of, it's happening in the duo now. Zatman picks himself up an easy kill. All that's afforded to him by the slow from Hurry. The damage from those chains. All of a sudden, the Highland Ravens showing some signs of life.
It was just that simple for Sam. Goes up in the sky, doesn't try and divert the path of his ultimate shots at all. Just straight line, hold that W key. Take down Cyclone Spin. 3 kills for the Highland Ravens. Although I won't hold my breath just yet. It's because last time we saw the Highland Ravens in a favorable position in the first 20 or so minutes of the game. All it took was one team fight for the Fairman to fight back. But it's a good return by the Ravens and a good punish, especially on that right side of the map, for Sino being so aggressive towards this buff.
But look at the experience already. Sure, you caught Sino. He's still about a level up. Paul's still in a really good position too. Really the only one that was suffering for experience would be Cyclone Spin, who just now takes over to 8 to match up against Zatman, but we'll see that shift up pretty shortly as well. Cyclone able to clear out a few of the camps on his own on the left-hand side. I'm keeping my eyes on supports. Feels like global presence can really dictate the next few minutes. So Aurora feels like he's got a lot of onus with the Defender of Olympus. Ven too, with that Living Nightmare. Makes it real difficult for both of these teams to figure out when they can all in, when they want to go for the dive, where they could put that pressure. I'm thinking you still want to make some of those rotations over towards 2. I feel like a broken record at this point. Every time I see the Freya or the Olorun, surely some jungler is going to show up, try to make it a little bit more difficult to exist. But Zatman at 2-0, going unchecked for now. I'm thinking that anything's going to change anytime soon. It'd be difficult for Sino to make that rotation here. Not a lot of farm, unless he's just trying to defend that purple buff invade.
I will say there's one interaction. Oh, never mind, I'll hold on to that for the moment. That we could potentially see Sino dashed on by Venenu, and now blinked by Scream. Good damage coming from the Serter. Sino just trying to get as much farm as he can before he goes down, but Scream gets credit for the kill. Paul walled away from his own tower and collapsed on by 5. The problem the Ravens had the previous 2 was, how do we kill Paul? Well, it's simple. Death ball him with a full squad of 5.
And get him off Baba Yaga, right? I think that's a large part of it too. Dash forward from Aurora. Maybe not the most advised play there. Just gets knocked down for his efforts. And let's play the hypothetical. What if it's a 5-man taunt there?
It's 5 people hitting them.
That's 5 people hitting them and nobody nearby to help him out. Aurora, +1, gifted to the Highland Ravens. But it's a similar position to last time around, which bodes eerily for the Highland Ravens and their fans. Kills, similar position, gold, worse off than it was in game 2. Styx Ferrymen won out in any of these fights recently, but they're sticking in there.
Gonna go on what I was gonna bring up, interaction that I can't recall seeing at a pro level. I've seen it happen a couple times in casual ranked games, but it's only when really these two specific supports become meta is if FERRYMEN can't match the rotation of Aurora, maybe you play anti to him. Wait for Aurora to go up if you're nearby. Right as he's about to teleport away,
Pull him
hit
back.
him with that no escape, pull him right back in. It's one of the coolest things to see is just the Athena pop on one side of the map and then all the way back around. So you get the bonuses of the Athena ult to the other side, but then you lose out on the extra manpower that direction. So could be an answer. Don't know if we'll see it, but I always keep my fingers crossed when I see these two supports.
Addicts forced to use that ultimate defensively to another rotation from Sino. And back to base. Still has that teleport, so his tower should just be safe here. He will be channeling it this time around. Make sure that it does maintain its HP. And the wall to prevent rotation towards blue buff just a bit early.
Too early. Still secure it. Haddock gets blue. Scream stuns Aurora. Baskin continues his poke up against Haddock. One level up for the soul laner of the Ferryman. But now Scream ahead in XP compared to Sino. Some of that afforded to the 2-1-2 that he's sitting at compared to the 1-2-0 of the opponent. Fight around the Fire Giant. Scream ends up pulling that one with his third ability and is now brought into combat. Aurora's down, but so is Scream. Paul gets to get a kill of his own. Up down from Venenu. FERRYMEN. He pulls back only Sino because it's Baskin going for the ultimate of his own. Paul just needs a little bit more damage. It's Venenu able to grab another before he goes down, and Baskin can keep up the chase. FERRYMEN is not going to be able to run too far when there's an Amma chasing him down. It'll be 3 for the Ferryman and Aurora. Well, he just died. He wants to come back for a kill of his own.
Aurora said, "You may have knocked me down, but I will be putting some gold in my coffer now." That is a tough fight to take for the Highland Ravens. Scream pops his third ability, immediately aggroes the Fire Giant. Aurora says, "Okay, taunted." And here's the thing. Fire Giant's going to knock you up now. Way too much damage between Sino, Fire Giant, and Paul for the Highland Ravens to stick around. So, small turnaround win over to the Styx Ferryman. Keeps the game relatively even. Neither side able to find a significant advantage off of that trade, though. No buffs to invade, no objectives to take on the right-hand side. Means that it really is just about the kills. Charts tell a crazy story if you're just looking at the lines, but numbers are relative right now, and they've been relatively low, so it's not exactly that massive a swing.
1,000 back and forth. That's about all the gold has swung here in the first 12 minutes of the game. First beacon, nearly capped by the Ferryman. FERRYMEN taunted back, but it does get capped by the Ferryman. Able to secure that first stack of the game. FERRYMEN, who may have felt unkillable before, now being shown that Paul's got some of that damage online. Double flat pen for the Morgan Le Fay. Paul's already starting to hit his stride here in the early, even despite his early tumble.
Speaking of hitting the stride, take a peek at both these junglers' builds. The eclectic defensive options on both. I've never seen a Dawnbringer Pele, I don't believe. Now we have. Bucket list. Anyone at home who's playing their Smite bingo, go ahead and add one. You think anybody's got that in their bingo? No way.
Arc Druid Pele? No, there's no chance anybody. I mean, I'm trying to remember if Sino built that the last time that he did the tanky Pele. I know he had like Pridwin in slot. Pretty sure that he had Dawnbringer along with it, so Dawnbringer, potential Arc Druid. Man, Sino's just...
He's cooking. Who let him cook?
His team. His team let him cook, and his team trusts his cooking.
It'll work out fine. It synergizes well with Pele, so I trust him to find some value from it. Just don't expect to see the same level of damage you would from any other Pele build.
Didn't do much to Haddox. All up in the ultimate. Fighting back against Venenu. Taunt from Aurora. FERRYMEN's gonna pull Paul back. Scream is there, but Paul's still alive. Aurora's keeping by for a moment, but Zapman dumps in along with Scream for 2 kills, and now Sino showed up. A double knockup is good for CC, but not good for the damage. The volcanic lightning to get Sino back to the end of the tier 1 tower, and Baskin just here to play defense.
So Pyromancer time for the Highland Ravens. Maybe even the Fire Giant if they want. They realize the 6 Ferrymen are over on the left, and they do. This one will go slowly. Fire Giant will fight back. Sino plays fast. He might be able to spot this one out.
Half health. Sino moving in by himself. It's an ultimate from Venenu that spots him out, but he knows this is happening, that he doesn't have a whole lot of burst damage. He's got to get in there all on his own to try and steal it away. He does not. But can they get a fight after Sino down to 10% health, down to none? FERRYMEN, credit for the last hit of the kill, and the Fire Giant for all 5 of the Ravens.
What a massive team fight for the Highland Ravens. The dive into the Tier 1 tower. I thought Paul had survived long enough that he'd be able to return some of that damage, but instead, nobody from the Highland Ravens takes anything more than 20%. Falls back, grabs Pyromancer, grabs fire, puts it on all 5. But this early in the game, J-Mac, it's going to be really hard to do a whole lot with that fire. I'm not even necessarily sure if you want to group up as 5 and start knocking down towers. At this point, farm individually, just grabbing waves and not splitting it's so important. People are level 13 still. We're just now cresting 12 on supports. Golden experience really should be the target. Maybe it gives you advantage in each lane. Maybe you're willing to try and knock down a Tier 1. We'll see how they play around this Fire Giant power play.
Zapman pushing up left, Cyclone spin. Gotta make sure this Frey doesn't get too much damage, though. Cyclone actually paying quite a bit of respect to Zapman. I'm not sure if it was because FERRYMEN walked over a ward on the left-hand side, but Cyclone gives up T1, stares down Zap and FERRYMEN. So with those extra range on the autos, should be able to keep these minions cleared out, keep his Tier 2 safe. Ult does catch Zapman, but Zapman without relics doesn't really care too much about it, considering it was only Cyclone there to follow up on his own damage.
So Tier 1 in left and mid now knocked down by the Highland Ravens. A little bit extra gold. Nothing much left to do on the left-hand side, barring group up legitimately on a Tier 2 tower. I think that's where we're going to see the most resistance from the Styx Ferrymen. The Highland Ravens, they're also grouped up on left. Pika Haddix has that teleport available and the semi-global on Thor, so if things start to get dicey, could make that rotation. Maybe the Highland Ravens more interested in just setting this trap in the jungle. Are you guys rotating to defend? Are you going to realize we're not actually sieging it? If yes, rotate through the jungle, get caught, and then a pick would make it so much easier to actually knock down the structure. But the Styx Ferrymen are used to a slower pace. They're certainly not going to give over any of these free picks here. So now, having already dealt with the easy structures, the Tier 1s, the Highland Ravens get anything more done? I'm thinking the answer is probably just no.
Baskin's up 2 levels over Haddix. Scream inside out even. Venenu's got a bit of a lead over Paul. And the dual lane's got a couple of levels of their own. Ravens on the whole ahead in XP. Cold with just these Tier 1 towers, not much they can go to hit these Tier 2s. Might just be the end of the Fire Giant. At least push for the Highland Ravens. Go for an Oni Fury once that spawns back in, but because of how early that Fire Giant was, as you mentioned, just a bit too soon to really go for these deep pushes in enemy territory, especially with players still sorting their way through the laning phase. Only 18 in. Second beacon spawned up and already capped off. The Highland Ravens, with this fire, have built themselves their largest lead of the game at around 2,000 gold, but 2,018 minutes is not really much of a significant lead.
No, take a peek at builds too. Paul picks up Breastplate of Valor, so a little bit more survivability to deal with that dive. The Highland Ravens have really made it difficult to exist as Paul right now between Ven and Scream and FERRYMEN. Those 3 just been running them down, so Scream's damage going to take a little bit of a hit, as will Ven's. Maybe Paul can survive a little bit longer in the fight, but it comes at a cost, and it's that Morgan Le Fay is just going to be tickling the tankier targets the Highland Ravens. Doesn't really pose a whole lot of threat there, and even up against like Zapman, the sustain that Freya's got, be a little bit difficult to deal with him too. Next item, a significant power spike for Paul. If he can finish up maybe some percent pen in that slot, things will look a little bit better. Styx Ferrymen, unperturbed, no ADC, no problem. Cyclone spin on the left-hand side, Pyromancer pulled and reset once FERRYMEN peeks around that corner. Speaking of FERRYMEN, those tanky targets on the Highland Ravens only going to be tankier. Bolster defense likely maxed out by now. Also has some of that aura defense rolling through, upgraded his starter. Fighting around the Ares, everybody's a tank.
Does lose his bubble to a taunt from Aurora. As he walks up just for zoning duty. Throws out a chain or two. We're talk about players haven't really been able to get involved either. Let's look towards Cyclone Spin. 2,400 damage, second lowest in the game by pretty significant margin to the next one up. Hasn't even been able to stack up his gooseberries yet. He's sitting at 8 stacks of the damage portion. He's got to deal, I think it's 750 in-hand damage to get that. And he's only got a few stacks that direction. Roar picked up. Zapman swinging away, but Aurora's able to dash out. Now Sino being collapsed on by 2 in the back line, but able to use the ultimate. Has to use it defensively to get away while Aurora's being chased out by the rest of the Ravens. Scream gonna march forward. Another move from Zapman. Gets Aurora a second time. Stun is there. FERRYMEN will get the chain, and Zapman gets the in hands. It's another rampage for the carry of the Ravens.
Meanwhile, Basket's getting something done on the other side. We'll be able to knock down that tier 2. Will he be able to make it out alive? Highland Ravens have a decision. Is it Fire Giant or Chase Basket? They want Fire.
Fire with 4 in the pit. Paul and Sino once more. It's Sino right at the forefront to try and take this one away. Can he even get inside? He doesn't have ultimate to get out this time. So he'll wisely give this one up. 2 Fire Giants now for the Highland Ravens. Only 21 minutes in the game. This is the point where we're even pondering if you could go for first Fire Giant, yet they're on 2.
And now that we're actually 20 minutes in the game, Fire Giant, I think, finds a little bit more value. Should be able to knock down some of these tier 2 towers. You can see it, the Highland Ravens playing pretty fast here. Right-hand side, tier 1, that'll go quick. On the left, though, Zapman shows himself on wave. FERRYMEN should know that there's some stragglers in the left side jungle. Watch Aurora's positioning. Watch Baskin. FERRYMEN are hunting.
Haddix was spotted out after the only Fury goes down to the Ferryman. But everybody else is kind of spread around here. The Ravens have 3 in the left jungle, 2 on the right side. Back. No teleport for Baskin to be able to get that direction. He's been spotted out by 3. In fact, it was canceled for his teleport, pulled back by FERRYMEN, but a fast dash out. This is going to be a long chase to go for an Amaterasu, and wisely, the Ravens will give up.
I mean, Haddix is going to prevent his back for as long as possible. Connects the wall. That's as long as possible. And so, Baskin right back to the scene of the crime. Returns to the right-hand side. Not sure he's going to know that Serter's there. If his back stopped again, maybe we'd be able to knock him down, but unfortunately for Scream and company, Scream himself, not exactly interested. Instead, there's a speed buff up, and if any jungler worth their salt, just going to go ahead and run straight to that one. So, even in Baskin just distracting them towards the center of the map, being forced back to base, sent to the right-hand side, retreating, having his ultimate forced defensively. He basically ate up like an entire minute of this Fire Giant power play. I'm not certain we're going to see much more done from here. And it's not even as if it's the best siege composition on the planet from the Highland Ravens. It's pretty decent. You got good threat on beads. A lot of it's going to ride with Ven and how well he's able to close gap into those Phoenixes or into those tier 2s. Even then, time continues to click onward. Not a whole lot's been done just yet.
Tier 2 tower right side. Now, maybe a tier 2 over the dual lane. Cyclone's trying to deal with the minions. So it's out the ult, catches out Zapman. Sino blinks into the scene. Zapman used the ultimate to try and escape as FERRYMEN doesn't grab anybody back for the zone. It's a dive in by Sino, but he misses the initial hit. And Haddix crashes in. Sino's going to try and take this trade, and he nearly does, but Zapman lives, and Aurora and Sino both fall. It's a double for Ben, and 1 for Haddix. 3 gone off the FERRYMEN. Only the carries left alive.
Great Aegis timing from Zapman there. Completely turns around. I understand the decision-making from Sino. I'm not going to outrun them. There's just no way with this many people chasing me. Let's try and get the trade. Delivers Aurora to that backline. Aurora says, oh man, Sino's dead. What can I do besides simply die with them? And that's exactly what happens. Highland Ravens have enough damage to actually go for the end here?
We're gonna try. Left Phoenix gone. Titan, though, it just got unleashed. Now they've got to kill the Titan twice if they want to be able to take it down, and that might just be the difference maker there. So now the Highland Ravens will have to back away. We're so close to potentially ending that one, but just had a bit of a mistiming on when those got unleashed. Not even sure who went and capped the 3rd beacon because everyone is fighting over on the left-hand side. The Highland Ravens back away, gives the 6th FERRYMEN a second chance of life.
Firemancer will go over to the Ravens, who've been doing a great job punishing every single time they find these opportunities, but perhaps an overstay. Paul seems to think so. Goes in the ultimate, but damage not exactly there, even with the Obsidian Shard finished up. Can't quite knock down Scream. Could probably knock down a tier 1. I don't think they're going to stick around much longer than that. Fortunately, even with FERRYMEN waves leaking into the base, there's nothing for them to deal with, so a bit more time on map afforded to the 6th FERRYMEN. Good hunt in the jungle, steal away some camps. I don't think they can stick around long enough for the Fury to respawn, so that should just be it. A little bit of farm for Paul to collect while he's in base.
Heads back. Deals with some of the minions that went up to the Titan.
Those minions are lost.
Those, they're a bit lost in the sauce right now. I think maybe, I'm not going to try and figure out to know exactly what's going on with them. So I know Aurora would deal with them. That's the important part. Fury does go to the Styx Ferryman. Highland Ravens show up on the scene just a bit too late to defend that objective. Even with 2 Fire Giants, a Phoenix, nearly every tower down, Highland Ravens, they're only holding about a 5,000 lead in gold over the Ferrymen.
And I think we're starting to approach the game point now where Serter comes into question on how effective he is in the late. Is he still dealing immense damage? Is he still as survivable as he once was? Get a good glimpse of it. If the Styx Ferrymen are capable of getting in towards that Fire Giant. Big if. Answered now. The answer is no, they aren't. It's a little too late once more. Seems like every time the Highland Ravens pick up a fire, just one member of the Ferrymen considering whether or not a steal is a possibility. This time around it's Baskin, the last 2 times it's Sino, and every time the answer's been no.
Unable to stop the 3rd fire. The Ferrymen go on defense. Left side Phoenix gone. Ferrymen group up as 5. For a defense up against the Ravens. Sino might stick around towards mid as you guys see Scream standing by. Both very tanky in their builds. Won't be hitting each other too hard. For the Styx Ferrymen, can they hold their defense? Haddock starts off with a hammer. Aurora goes in with a taunt. The fight breaks out as the Styx Ferrymen try and defend through. It's 2 to the left-hand side, though. Haddock's getting melted back by Baskin and Sino, even with Ben joining in. And Paul on the scene. Scream is forced to the sky, and Venenu has to go back. The Highland Ravens, they fall apart on their offense.
Haddock takes way too much damage. Force go up to the sky under threat of Aurora's taunt. Lands in mid. And Sino, maybe not the most damaging Pele you've ever seen, still does enough. But he's able to knock down Haddock with help of Baskin. So, Styx Ferryman. No, J-Mac, I'm starting to see the vision a little bit, starting to see the opening thread. Things start to struggle now for the Highland Ravens. Closing out this game. Fire Giant on 4. They can get another shot on Siege, maybe group up on left, try and knock down that Phoenix before it fully regenerates. But the ability to break the base, certainly not there anymore for the Highland Ravens. Not entirely. Not without Haddock and his Fire Giant. And I'm taking a look at Paul now, too. His build's starting to find some of that damage we've been asking for. Obsidian Shard, sure, but now Pendulum as well. Pretty close. We want to sell that recipe. Morgan Le Fay has been relatively low damage this entire match. It's high up on the chart because she's been able to apply that poke pretty consistently. That poke's going to become burst pretty soon.
That man does pick up red buff. Now on a full build Freya. He's already swinging 4. Fear for the tanks who stand in his way, but to that same note, those tanks are starting to stack up that defense, Aurora and Baskin. And specifically Baskin with that Midgard mail. Sure, the physical defense won't help him against Zapman, but that slow, both in attack speed and movement speed, such a thorn in Zapman's side. And any physical, or I should say any auto attack based character. So now for the Fairman, one more time. We return with the Ravens on an offense. Still a 3-2 stack for the Fairman to try and defend. Left Phoenix is back up. Sino and Scream immediately pivot to that side. Sino's not going to let this Phoenix go for free. And the Ravens will take some time, spin their wheels a bit before they move in for one of these objectives.
Not often we see a 1-2-2 split, or now a 2-1-2 split. Haddock's down the mid. Jungle and ADC on left. Excuse me, mid laner. Actually, ADC on the right-hand side. Freya does not pose threat to Phoenix, so it'll be actually difficult for them to knock down the bird there. I think the actual threat resides on the left-hand side of the map, where Baskin is on defense. Magi's burn from Hurry. Make it harder for him to step up now.
Cyclone gets a bit of damage in. But removing that Magi is the big one up against Hurry with one good taunt. Can start putting him in critical range. Baskin and Sino to defend against Venenu and Scream. Not much of a defense though. It's a Tunkin from Haddock. And Sino's instantly removed from the fight. Now Baskin's got to back away. Finds a double stun. But let's take a listen to the Ravens as they try and continue their push. good comms from the Ravens, and wise to maybe back away, recognizing a couple of low health bars. Cyclone takes a huge chunk from Scream in the backline. Chain connects as well, and Scream versus enough, but Paul's got plenty to return right back. Does take down FERRYMEN in trade. Baskin dives in against 3, and he takes down Satman through all of that now. It's only Paul left alive, but look at the health bars. Haddix, he's ticking away. Paul's got the double kill, and he might just have another. Scream is on the run. He's got a couple minions helping out with some vision, but Paul is going to keep him busy. Forces him up into the meteorite, and Scream is out for now, but Sino and Paul are on the chase. Sino dives in with the ultimate, waits for the knockup, or maybe just waits to give that one over to Paul, and Sino with the kill. All birds down, but the FERRYMEN hold strong.
But the objective has been secured, hasn't it? All 3 Phoenixes taken away from the Styx FERRYMEN base, completely broken now. Slight disagreement in the comms from the Ravens. Scream calls for Fury. Zap says we got the bird, and we'll see whether or not Zapman was correct and whether or not that's actually a valuable trade. Unless, can the Styx FERRYMEN, do they have the damage to do Fire Giant now? If the answer is yes, this is a massive shift in the game state. Then FERRYMEN nearby. Ven's got global presence. It's going slow. That's not real Pele damage. That's tank Sino Pele damage. Oh no, this is dangerous.
And Cyclone's on the way, but so is FERRYMEN. The fire's at half. FERRYMEN's here with the
coin
bubble.
toss
He
it.
walks in, but he loses the bubble instantly. Got a chain on 2. Fire Giant down to 30%. The Styx FERRYMEN trying to fight back against her. He's a dive in by Haddix. Doesn't get what he's looking for. Sino bursts away. The FERRYMEN get the fire, but they lose Sino. Will they lose any more beyond there? Aurora is low. Haddix tries to cut off the path, removes one way for Paul to get out. The chains are there, the spin on top, but Paul finds the knockback, uses the Aegis to get away
Still
from
alive?
Zapman, and Hurry doesn't go down
No
either.
teleport?
Duncan is not
The
there.
turn?
It's Baskin to take one down, and Baskin picks up the triple kill. The Styx FERRYMEN on a risky call and fire.
But look at the
Payoff
Titan.
big. The Titan is low. Paul's got to go back.
Does he
There's a
see
wave
it?
behind you, Paul. You got to deal with another one. Cyclone's there. The Titan lives. And the Fire Giant's on 4. And wait, Basket picks up 4? What just
Scream's going for it.
Why is he even happening? Scream is here.
Does he have the
Dives in with
damage?
the meteor. Baskin's got to be there to silence the sound. Can Scream take it by himself? No! It's another one for the Fairy. They hold firm. All 5 down on the Ravens.
The Styx FERRYMEN are simply different. They make you earn it every single time. They take the riskiest play, coin toss the Fire Giant, win the coin toss, win the team fight afterward. Paul survives on a thread of HP, sub 100, 99 more than he needed. And the Highland Ravens now, I mean, they've still got the Titan low. It's still gonna be a little while in that mid-Phoenix respawn, but the backdoor potential is certainly still there. Teleport available for Haddix, but no wards far enough up. Maybe on that right-hand side, if he's feeling crazy. Styx FERRYMEN, all they gotta do, buy another minute or so for that mid-Phoenix. Titan will start to regenerate, and we're right back to an even game. Fire Giant on 4 now with Sino trading himself. J-Mac, they might have done it. They might have extended this match.
You can see the pings coming out, though, from the Ravens, trying to at least ponder what path they have to the Titan room. There's still a fire wave that needs to be dealt with. Cyclone will deal with the one on left. 2 more on right.
2 birds up.
With an Oni wave to defend there. And still the mid-Phoenix for about another 45 seconds. Can the Styx FERRYMEN keep the Ravens back long enough? Haddix is by himself.
Spotted.
And the FERRYMEN know that he is here. Haddix has about equal damage to Scream.
Double dunk the Titan, maybe?
It's a wall on top of Sino. Haddix goes in the sky.
They're too
the
far
Ravens
away?
are pushing in, but Haddix is too far up. Scream goes in the sky. They're going to double dunk right in. They spot out with Aurora. Haddix goes in, gets the spin. Sino's got the knock up, and the Highland Ravens, do they have the damage? It's not enough. Just
Scream!
They got to stop Zap, but they don't. The Highland Ravens takes a full concentrated effort to do it, but it takes them 34 minutes and push us to game 4.
The Highland Ravens may have taken us to game 4, but it's by the thinnest of margins there. If there's just a little bit more damage nearby, if one more reset happens on the Titan, that's it. That is a risky end call. Only the Styx FERRYMEN could defend that long, though, and those odds give us as entertaining an end to that game as we got.